Let's see. So things that are sticking out to me off the jump. So we have now swept previous day high on NQ. So Monday morning is our high. All right, so that has been now swept. Okay. So we basically swept previous day high. Yes, I'm sorry, we swept previous day low during Asia on both indices. And then we have reversed to the upside. And we now have previous day high SMT forming currently. Doesn't mean that it can't be invalidated. But at the current moment, we have the SMT there. I'm looking at drawing our 4-hour Dilling range just to kind of get us started. And our equilibrium of the 4-hour range is overlapping the 4-hour well, ES has now tapped it, NQ hasn't tapped it. So from swing high, swing low, consecutive up close candles, I'm calling that my Dilling range. And here's my FEG, and there's my equilibrium. Same over here, there's my equilibrium. The NASDAQ seems to be holding a little better than ES. And then here is our SMT currently on the high time frame. The bearish SMT at the top, high. Now the question now becomes, okay, we have the SMT. Does that, because to me, these lows down here, and then we have this one over here. This is on the 4-hour. You know, all these down here to me look very primed to be swept, but that doesn't mean that we have to sweep them on Tuesday. That was something that I've had to learn over time. Is just because I see draws on liquidity that look very, very prime doesn't mean that that's going to happen at the first half of the week. And I don't mind, since we sold off so heavily last week. I don't mind having a bullish start to the week at minimum. But this SMT at the top is very interesting to me. So we have 19 minutes left on this 4-hour candle. See what the 1 hours are looking like. So I'm gonna get rid of this daily like. So we are in that daily fair value gap. What previous day low in the bullish gap. So this move to the upside is sponsored by a high time frame fair value gap. But we do, at some point, guys, I do think this monthly fair value gap down here gets hit. I think that might be honestly the objective that we need to get out of this consolidation that we've been stuck in for the last couple of weeks. What's up, man? Let's take a quick peek at the or NQ on the daily. That previous day low did get swept last night. We have the bullish gap there as well. Honestly, we got one underneath it as well. So this gap's been has been holding price up on both indices for a minute now. We actually, oh man, now that I see it, we don't have it on ES, but we do have a daily bearish fair value gap here on NQ. And we just tapped that actually. Let's put me a line here, and we're gonna name that daily FEG, and then we're gonna make that dotted because that has been tapped into. There's our daily FEG there. So we've tapped it and immediately reversed it. So honestly, seeing that makes it pretty hard for me to be bullish because you definitely don't want to long past this high, to me at least. Um, I wouldn't want to long through a daily bearish fair value gap. And like I said at the beginning, the draws on liquidity, especially over here on ES, down here at these lows, here, here, I mean, these are to the tick the same. So this is previous, um, what was previous week low, and then we came down here and edged it, and now that's a new previous week low. And then we have this over here I'm calling a relative equal low. So as I said in the beginning, those definitely catch my eye. But again, that doesn't mean we necessarily have to go to those today. Wait a second. So this was the gap. Looks like London session utilized this fair value gap to push higher. Because the problem is, guys, we have the 4 hour here, right? But as we all know, we're not going to sit here and wait for this 4 hour to go IFEG for anything to the downside. Honestly, take taking taking this move down to this 4 hours probably not a bad trade. A little early. It was early for me. Not 9:45. I will take trades at 9:45, but I really like taking trades before then. I don't know if anything really presented itself here, but little 2 minutes, not really. I think that 4 hour definitely gets tapped. The SMT right now. I'm in a short now. That's what I was just saying. That's weird. Yeah. NQ hitting the H4 for FEG. Or you could, if you wanted to be, and then you could probably, if you have more than one contract, maybe you can hold it maybe till ES hits its equilibrium right here. Think that um, I think that equilibrium on ES should hit, and I think the H4 should tap on. Thank you. So on I'm trying to determine what I would like to see for the 10 a.m. 4-hour candle start. So this 9 a.m. This is okay. Yeah, this is previous day high. So we swept. Yeah. So this was the hour gap in Q that London used for the sponsored this. I like to see which of my high time frame gaps actually gave me my sweep on liquidity. If I have a leg like this, where I have a ton of gaps just stacked on each other in all these time frames, I like to simplify it to which gap on the highest time frame got tapped and then gave me the delivery of my sweep on liquidity. That's the gap for me that uh, is very important. So in this case, the 4-hour didn't have a gap. It does now, but at the time it didn't. So the 1 hour is my highest time frame that I uh, monitor. And now ES is back in that gap. Pretty interesting. So I do think, I mean, overall, guys, just looking at the 4 hour still, I know we have a little bit of a bullish push, but this isn't enough for me to flip bullish bias. I mean, we do have the bullish fair value gap that we're tapping into right now, or we did down here. Like we're bouncing out of a daily bullish fair value gap, which is nice. But the problem is both both indices has already used that gap. Like three daily candles tapped it here. We had a Friday's candle, Monday's candle, and now this candle. And we got this daily gap up here playing defense. But don't want to say longs are completely dead though. All right, so we're gonna start with our scenarios for the session. All right, Rambo, how about you work on us for a scenario? What would a scenario for this trading session be? And what I mean by scenario, remember it's you want to go ahead and break even. All right, give us a scenario for this session. If this happens, then I want to this. Or if this happens, I will do this. So I'll give you the obvious. So if we break the H1, right, that would be breaking the high time frame equilibrium. That would be, getting underneath it. That would be inversing the fair value gap that sponsored our sweep on liquidity, because we're not going to wait for the 4 hour to flip because we can't fit that in New York AM, obviously. So I would be okay using the H1 because I think this is a good gap because it did sponsor the sweep on liquidity, and H1 is plenty high time frame for me. So if we inverse here, I could look for a long setup into these jumbled up lows over here. So maybe something like this would be my first scenario, right? So I want everybody to start thinking scenario-based trading. This will help everybody, and it helped me. So we're going to say daily scenario. All right. Number one, H1, IFEG, and then we would look for shorts. We would actually do ES shorts because it's a bit weaker based on the high time frame S&T. ES shorts to that previous week low / relative equal low. All right, Rambo, do you have another scenario we could look at? Why do I like scenario one? Because for me, not really. So we ran previous day high on NQ, non-ES. So we have the high time frame S&T. Yes, we do have this bullish 4 hour that we can't wait for it to go IFE. So scaling down to the gap that sponsored this move, the highest time frame gap we could wait to inverse would be this 1 hour, and this is the highest time frame gap that was actually utilized to the sweep on liquidity. If I inverse this, then to me, that opens the door for this. I like that because that would give me I like that because that would give me sweep on liquidity. The S&T would just add to the context of it, and then um, high time frame IFEG, very clear draw on liquidity. Yeah. So yeah, Rambo, I don't think you're necessarily wrong that nothing else is popping out to you. The only thing, we do have one more option. So our second scenario is, see. Our second scenario would be the 10 a.m. H4 uh, starts lower. So our 4 hours starts lower, tapping the H4 FEG, specifically on NQ because it's not tapped yet. And then once we got that tap, we would look for like a low time frame reversal. And then that would clear the runway for TP at uh, uh, daily FEG, which would be NQ. And then we could probably take some profit at ES previous day high because it hasn't been stopped yet. I'm going to take that down. All right, so those are my scenarios. Why does this help me in my trading? Writing them down helps me to not take trades in the moment, to not be impulsive. And I've done this. I usually have these in my head, right? But I'm trying to get people that are joining to watch, to trade with me, to start thinking in this way because I think that when the people that do usually stick to their plan a little easier. It doesn't guarantee it, right? You still have to have some patience with it and stuff, but when you write it out and put it like right in front of you, it what you're waiting for that session becomes very clear. Now, this doesn't mean that you can only put a scenario up here at the beginning of market open and you can't add to it. I don't mean that at all. I mean, I could easily, in 30 minutes see another thing forming, and that's totally fine if it's matching my system. So we got 50, right, a little under a minute now left on this 4-hour candle until our 10 a.m. open. What would also be very interesting for that long setup, so that would be scenario number 2 here. What would also be very interesting to me is we would get the sweep on liquidity more than likely here. And that is essentially, to me, this is the 1 a.m. hourly candle low. So that's, to me, basically London low. So if we get this 4-hour tap and we get the next 4-hour candle to open lower, so here's the start of our next 4-hour. If we get it to open lower, we could potentially sweep London, sweep the H4, and then we could look for trades back up to this daily fair value gap that's playing defense on the uptrend right now. And then for ES, we could take profit when it hits its previous day high, even though we would long on the, because it does seem a bit more bullish. So ES is actually, okay, actually, hold on, look at this. So ES has actually already swept that low. So it's not really like like a crazy SMT, because this to me isn't like a very I mean, it's just a higher low, right? In the uptrend, it's not like a true swing point on the high, 'high time frame. So I'm not like too terribly caught up in like this SMT here as a bullish signal for higher. I would not be willing to go long without a tap of the 4 hour on speed. And I would accept that, hey, we could have the SMT there and have the SMT on that 4 hour fair value gap where NQ doesn't tap it and ES does and it delivers higher. That totally may happen. But I'm going to have to let that trade go if it plays like that. But what I see right now on the 1 hour, which is pretty significant, is we're in this accumulation right here, right? I want to see this. I want to see it really give me that AMD model. Now, if this thing, I guess we could also look at it a little different and say if the 4 hour opens and sweeps this high up here, could we short to the 4 hour getting touched? Maybe. I'm not going to put that as a scenario yet. I don't know how I feel about that. So our 4 hour is now turning over, which is good. Again, I'm not too. This SMT down here is really just for me to kind of keep my, keep them aligned in my mind, like where they both are in reference to each other. I'm not really taking that as like a super bullish signal. Let's see here. All right. You don't know what to target after entry? Okay. Well, I can tell you one thing wrong with that sentence. Just by your just by how you worded that, and I need you to really hear it. Okay. If you don't have a target, bro, then you don't have a trade to begin with. You if the more you trade, the more you join and you trade with me, the more you're gonna see that the very first thing that I'm looking at when I get on this chart today, the very first thing out of my mouth was looking at these lows. Now, do these lows get hit today? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, my first instinct is to look at the draw and liquidity. Where is that going to be? If I don't have any draws on liquidity that I like to the downside, then my scenarios are not going to have short trades. I'm going to be very, strict to longs that day because I don't have anything of significance that I like. You should always start. I know it may seem a bit backward. Like you should look at your find your entry first and then do your target. But if you don't have your target, bro, then like your RR, your sizing is will be inconsistent. Uh your RR will not all, stay consistent. So kind of flip your thinking. Like a lot of things in trading, you got to kind of flip your thinking so that your first first instinct is to look at what I want to get hit. What on this page, look at that 4 hour chart, man. That's my bread and butter. Look on the 4 hour, find relative equal lows, find relative equal highs. Have we swept previous day low? Have we swept previous day high? If so, how are we reacting? Do we have any fair value gaps on the H4 or the daily? You start there, bro, then you're gonna find targets off of that. You can target a 4 hour getting tapped. That's not a bad target. That's not a bad draw on liquidity to have if it if it makes sense. Don't just target, don't just say, hey, oh, I'm going short. Here, I'm gonna use you're short today that you were, I'm guessing, you were just in isn't a bad trade, but I want you to make sure you understand why. So I want to say the H4 on NQ is going to get tapped because ES was already in it, but NQ wasn't. Why do I like that trade? Because you do have a sweep on liquidity at previous day high, which is one of the best liquidity pools that you can look to sweep and react off of. So you have a very good sweep. You have the SMT, which is just like, the whipped cream and cherries on top of the sundae. And then you have a high time frame gap that is very, very likely to tap into. If the bullish trend is going to continue, more than likely it's going to tap the H4. If the bullish trend is going to end and it's going to flip bearish, it's still going to has to go through that H4. So, using the high time frame gaps as a target isn't bad at all. And then same way with my long setup here, our scenario number 2 is to ride it up into this daily fair value gap again, right? Now, yes, you could target this high, but my point is, like, you can use these high time frame gaps as targets if you don't have like a very perfect um, you know, high time frame swing lows like that in reach. Because sometimes you don't, right? Like sometimes you're in this spot and you don't have a swing point nearby, right? So I probably wouldn't go under like the 1 hour. I usually will only target a daily or a 4 hour. I don't usually target a 1 hour gap tap, but I know plenty of people that do. I know people that will, target a 15-minute getting tapped that just trade them, um, the very low time frame, which is fine, right? I mean, everybody has different systems, but yeah, always start with where you believe the target is going to be, and then try to have try to have a daily objective to both sides of the market. If the Bulls win New York AM, I think this is going to get hit. If the Bears win New York AM, I think this is going to get hit. Okay. So those are the two potential draws on liquidity in each direction. So today, what are my two potential draws on liquidity? I believe our two draws on liquidity are either all these lows down here on ES, which would be, you know, potentially that previous week low on NQ. Maybe it doesn't get all the way down there, but you know, these lows on ES, because it's moving a little weaker at minimum. So that to the downside. To the upside, we still don't have previous day high swept on ES. So right there, you have your two objectives. We're either going to take these relative equals down here, or we're going to hit previous day high, right? Okay, now you have your two targets. Now create scenarios. Okay, if these lows down here are going to get ran, then what would happen? What would have to happen? Well, this for me, the H1 gap here that sponsored the sweep on previous day high that formed this SMT, I would want to see that get inverse to then go low. Because I can't wait on the 4 hour to go in. But if this 1 hour does, because it sponsored the sweep, I would be accepting of that. Get underneath the high time frame equilibrium as well. Start showing that as resistance and not support. And then to the other side, you would say, okay, how do I get to previous day high? Well, I have this bullish 4 hour. I would want to see that get tapped and then see some reversal signs to push higher again. to the previous day high that's open on ES. So those are your scenarios. Now you can add to that list, right? Don't close the list off at 10, 11. You can keep adding to it. Just you don't want like 15 different scenarios though. Like try to keep it simple. And that to me helps me sit on my hands and be a little more patient because I know I've written out what I want to see. And when it's not giving it to me, then I'm like staring my scenarios in the face. And it's easier to keep reminding myself over and over again throughout that session that it's not giving me what I want. But right now, though, it's looking pretty freaking good, if I do say so myself. So right now, it's leaning. Well, actually, both of them are technically open. Both scenarios are definitely still on the table right now. Um, so we're getting our new 4-hour candle open. I do have this indicator here just so you guys can reference where that 4 hours started. Scenario 2 is 4-hour opens, manipulates lower, taps into this 4-hour gap, maybe taps at or near equilibrium, and then low time frame reversals to push the candle up and give it, a long wick, bullish closing candle into this daily fair value gap. And we could ride it to previous day high on ES and exit there. OTP at London low for me. Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad because you do have that SMT there. So, but honestly, ES right now is looking very, very weak. I don't know if that's because it's already tapped the gap and it's kind of waiting for NQ to do the same. It has tapped, and the 4-hour did open lower. So now our 4-hour has been tapped. Let's turn this line dotted. We do have the bullish SMT still down on our time frames here. And we really don't have any IFEGs on this leg. I guess this 2-minute right here. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think that if longs are going to be in, my thought and opinion is it's going to print an entry. Maybe it's off this IFEG here. I think it will probably print through something that gets people in, and then it will deliver. I don't think that they're just going to pull it down at 10. They're not going to start the 4-hour candle, rip it down into a brand new 4-hour, and then deliver higher without any manipulation. I don't see that. I think it's going to run the low a couple times if that's the direction we're going to end up going. Dun, 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 dun. Trying to get my max allocation back in freaking alpha, bro. I'm freaking mad. Still haven't been refunded. which freaking sucks, bro. Because I could at least I wanted it at least to be able to, you know, take the money back from Alpha to pour into a different firm to at least try to get my max allocation back. Those freaking premium accounts, man, those things were too good. They said they lost like I forget the number. It was like 25 million or something in 2 months off the Alpha premium accounts. So I get why they had to close them, but at the same time, man, they totally rugged everybody and they didn't really handle it very well. And um, all the people that had premium Alpha Futures premium accounts, they could have easily, bro, said, "Hey, anybody with a premium account, we'll give you if you had a funded account, you can get a uh advanced account, funded account. Like we'll give you let you keep your funded account and you know the size of it and everything or accounts, but we're just going to switch it from being a premium account to a different account or at minimum, bro, like give you the credit immediately." But they're like taking forever with the refunds, and I feel like they're just making it worse for themselves. Rambo, were you affected by that at all? On the 5 minute chart on NQ, London low got hit. Depends on what you call London low, brother. That's kind of that's a thing about those time for I mean what people call what people categorize as London and Asia is slightly different. Like some people say Asia doesn't start until 8 p.m. Eastern, and then it goes to 12 a.m. For me, I look at it like 6 p.m. all the way to 1 a.m. is Asia. What is the low of that? And then from 1 a.m. All the way to 8 a.m. I'll look at that as London. And then 8 a.m. to 9:30, I say that's New York pre-market. Maybe 7:30 to 9:30, New York pre-market, and then obviously 9:30 to noon, I call New York AM. So right now I have this at the 1 a.m. low, calling that my Asia low, but I really don't care. I don't really care if this is London, quote, London low or not, because look, if you look at it on this, like on the really low time frame, like yeah, these are higher lows. So you're just calling this London here. And that's fine. So that's 340. So that's definitely in London session. Um for me though, when it looks like this on the 1 hour and it's just like a steady climbing trend in one direction basically, the quote London low eight like for me, let's give it a better example. See like the 6 p.m. low is down here. That to me, I like that. Calling, saying this is our Asia low. I like that because it's an actual swing low. That to me is really what I truly care about. I care less about like random higher lows on a bullish trend the reason that I like this low specifically is because the 4 hour doesn't have any fair value gap taps all the way up to the sweep on liquidity here, right? The previous day high sweep. Okay, so I go down to the 1 hour. To me, what is my highest time frame gap that got tapped before I went and ran this high? To me, that is this. That is this tap right here. That is why I care about this low. So I just looked at it, said 1 a.m. To me, I consider that like London pre-market. So I called it London low, but you could have easily called, this London low. But it's all how people categorize the time. I don't really think there is a true wrong, like right and wrong way. But overall, if we're in a trend like this overnight, I'm not really. Let me say this in a more organized way. All right, look over here. If we have this trend, if I wake up to New York AM and that's what the chart looks like, and say this is technically my Asia low, and say this is technically my London low, I don't really care that this is London low compared to this low. These are all relevant to me for New York AM because those are all potential targets. You have low resistance liquidity there. Like this isn't more special than this or this. What I really like is I want the swing, the bottom swing. I want that extreme. And when the session is that extreme, that to me is where you can't get that wrong. And the uptrend or downtrend, it can be kind of up to how people consider the time frame, not time frames, but the time windows, the kill zones. And I don't think there's really a quote wrong way to do it. Like yesterday, this candle right here is your 7 a.m. candle. Okay. To me, it doesn't matter if you call the 7 a.m. candle London high or New York pre-market high or whatever. I like this because I like this getting swept more than just a random higher low on the uptrend up. This, now you have the sweep. That to me gets me involved. If that makes sense? I more care about these extremes than, you know, because those higher lows are all relative to what time frame you're looking at. What do you mean you don't have an account? I mean, I know what you mean by that. All right, brother. Have a good day, man. So, actually, now that I'm looking at it, guys, see here. So we really got some. Hmm. all these stacked highs right here are very interesting to me. And you could even consider now that I'm looking at it, you could make so this is 6 a.m., this is 2 a.m. So this is basically your London high here and relative equals. This may get us involved to the downside here. This could be the sweep. We really want to see how price reacts after ES takes this high. And I mean, because so looking back at our scenarios here, number 2, 10 a.m., here's the 4-hour open right here, starts lower, has that, tap the 4-hour, it's done that. I just don't have an IFEG yet that I really like to get involved. And what is also making me sit on my hands just a little longer are these relative equal highs. These are actually relative equal 4-hour highs on ES. Do we sweep this and then it starts to turn over? That's the question. But we also don't want to give up all of this runway to the previous day high draw, because that would be our liquidity pool that we would be targeting on a long trade setup. Guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna get my account fixed here for us if we get us an entry here. All right, here we go. So we do now have the sweep there. I guess. Okay. Oh, no. 6 a.m. See here, guys. This is looking pretty strong, actually. I like the wick on the 4-hour candle. We tap something significant. I like it so far. I'm going to peel down now to the 5 and 15 minute chart. And I would really like to see here at least a 5-minute FEG open for us. We know here, we'll put a box up here just for anybody joining late. So this would be like our this would be like last TP, or let's just say last TP slash objective. So right now, look at what we got left. So we still have 19 points on ES, which is a good bit, honestly. So we should be okay. NQ is really picking up, which is what we want to see as it's been the leading bullish index through the night and through pre-market. We got 3 minutes left on this 5-minute candle. Maybe if the market will give it to us, that is, we could look at, say, this would be our 5-minute Dilling range, right? Why is that? Swing high, swing low, and then consecutive up close candles. So there would be our equilibrium. We could look, that. We could look for a 5-minute FEG, maybe in here to open, that we could use to look for continuation up. And we would just let it run until ES hits that previous day high, would be my thinking. So we got sweet. This looks pretty good to me. 5-minute. Let's see what we get here. We got 2 minutes till close. I like how this candle's forming so far. This is an ultra bullish 5-minute candle. Then it makes tapping this less likely. It could potentially just run, which we don't want. So I'm going to take that off the chart just so we don't get confused, because that technically isn't open yet. We would be looking at scenario number 2. And then potentially, we do need to keep in the back of our mind that we could potentially open a 15-minute gap as well a little later. I'm going to go ahead, as we wait this 1 minute till this candle closes, I'm going to go ahead and get my MNQ chart fixed up here. So we had 4-hour gap is here. We tapped. And then we do have that daily gap we don't want to lose track of right here. Daily FEG, that's also been tapped. 1 hour. So we have this SMT there. Calling that my low. All right, here it is. We have now opened the 5-minute FEG. Let's see what price wants to do here. Like it's on both indices. We would be looking for something like this. We do have an hourly high right there. Call that like minor buy side. All right. ES is now pulling back down into towards the gap. Be just patient a little longer, guys. Thanks for the follow. I know you've been paper trading, practicing. If you're still on here, yeah, I get that. I just didn't know why you said no. I don't have any account. I didn't know what. I don't know what I said to make that made you say. And then I'm gonna go also back to NQ here. And copy my scenarios down. Yes. All right. Yep, we're looking like we're gonna get us a tap here. I'm just gonna let this go up there. I don't think maybe it doesn't deliver that far, but uh, again, I would TP at ES previous day high. So we're getting a good pull into the FEG here on ES. We would still be looking at opening a pretty large 15-minute right there on ES in 7 minutes. So we may see that inefficiency start to get rebalanced before the fair value gap technically closes or opens at candle closure. See if we can get this thing to pull back down. There we go. There we go. All right, so we should be good here. Now, here's the thing. We definitely want ES to pick back up from here, though. So let's start going down in our time frames. What are our options for entry? Let's see. So I'd be looking at how many contracts? Maybe. All right, ES looks like it's picking back up here. Let's see if we get us a 1 minute right here that we can use. Hey guys, not to confuse you, but I'm gonna flip ES here and NQ, M and Q to the right. I just flip what side the charts are. It helps my formatting of my trade recap videos to have my trade not on the same side as my camera is. So here's our 1 minute. Let's see, is that the only, we got a 1 minute up here. It's a 2 minute look like. No 2 minute gaps. Potentially form a 3 minute. 5 minute did hold on ES. That looks good. I want to see some speed here. See if it wants to sweep one more time. I like this, honestly. Deep manipulation, getting any of this new, getting any of the people out that got in early. Remember, we have this inefficiency. As long as we wick back up before this 5-minute candle closes, I think we're okay. But we don't want to be overly confident on the long because remember, we did just sweep this London high. Let's look at the 1 hour. Ooh, I don't know, guys. What do you think? High, high, high. A lot of hourly highs that we just swept here. And now this thing is really peeling back. Very, very interesting. See how this 5-minute closes? Two minutes left on that. On this candle. We are underneath equilibrium on ES on the 5-minute range. We really need to see like this next 2 minutes to be pretty strong bullish push. If we get us a nice low wick on a 5-minute like that, I like that. I like this. If we can get this thing to close like that, oh man. See what we're looking like. So don't have a 3-minute or 2-minute. It's just this 1 minute, guys. That's all we got. I like how that 5 minutes closing. I'm about to hammer this. I'm about to hammer this. There's our 1 minute on ES that we want. Let's see, 17 seconds to close here. So I got it a little higher. RV6. So I need the if we get us a little pullback here, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back. If we can get a retap or no, I'm just gonna take it. I don't like it. I think it's picky there. All right, I'm in longs here. Off this 1 minute IFEG. Stop loss. So stop is going underneath the extreme. Nice push so far. So the only other question now becomes where do we go break even at? Um, we're already taking that's a 930 high. So we do have a bearish SMT at this high as of now. Obviously, we want this to get invalidated. The ugly 5 minute, very, very ugly 5 minute, guys. Low time frame SMT currently, we really need this thing to start pushing out of this gap on ES. Oh, big push there. See if we get this SMT to cancel out. Keep going. All right, SMT's gone, guys. Very nice. See if we can get this thing to start running. Got about 12 minutes left on the hour. The hourly candle looks obviously very bullish. The SMT that I drew earlier would change now to here on the high time frame. We still got plenty of runway here. Plenty of runway here. Even though this 5 minute isn't really looking like it's going to close very bullish. All right, so for anyone that has maybe joined late on YouTube, or we're live on Twitch, and YouTube. So anyone that's joined, what we were looking for, we look at ES. We had SMT at the high, at previous day high. NQ swept previous day high. ES did not. We had a unmitigated 4-hour FEG on both indices. One of our scenarios, number 2 here, was the 10 a.m. candle to start lower, to open lower, tap that 4-hour, and then look for our low time frame reversal, and TP at that ES previous day high up here. So we got the tap on the H4, both indices did that. And then we started to scale down in time frame. Looking at this 5 minute is where we actually got 5-minute FEG open. We also had a 5-minute swing low here, swing high here, equilibrium here. So you can see we pulled back, respected equilibrium, respected the 5-minute fair value gap, started pushing out, and then we got a 1-minute high FEG here. As our actual our actual entry. So we'll see how it turns out. We have, look at this. Remember what I was just saying, guys, where ES may have wanted to close the 15-minute inefficiency, right? We don't have this 15-minute fair value gap. Why? Because this wick came all the way down here, right? So watch that on those, 15 minute, 30 minute, 1 hour, even the 4 hour. If you're looking for where could the wick potentially stop, look at where it needs to go to balance the inefficiency before this candle prints. So basically close that 15-minute off before it even opened, right? It balanced it before the fair value gap was actually there. Exceptional. There's it's doing some consolidating in this area um, before this next hourly open. Uh, I don't really see anywhere. We look at the hourly chart. I mean, we already have that gap tapped. We don't have. I'm basically looking at, okay, if we open the 1 hour in 5 minutes, okay, we open a new 1 hour candle. Say it starts right here. All right, where would be the max this wick could go for my bullish trade to make sense, right? So I don't have anything on the 1 hour, no PD arrays that I could see potentially getting tapped into, nothing on the 30, 15, 5. Yeah, for once, guys, I really don't see a super obvious level to look for that thing, that hourly open to tap. The 15-minute candle is not really closing the way I would like it to. It is hanging on. Remember, we have our concern with this trade is this right here. We have these relative equal highs, which are considered London high right here, right? We don't want our risk on this trade is this was just a sweep to deliver lower. But I because we have very good draws on liquidity lower on the high time frame. So that is a bit of a concern for me, but everything else lines up well with this trade. And that's common, right? Like you're gonna have trades that, you have a scenario in the opposite direction that um, could technically still play out. Based on what I see and what the price is showing me, I like the upside here. 10 a.m. candle opens, manipulates lower into an untapped 4 hour. Sweeps liquidity, SMT at the low, on the sweep, 5 minute tap, respect, 5 minute equilibrium, respect, 1 minute IFEG up, made a new 15-minute high, 30-minute high. So I like the side of the market that we're on. See how it goes. Really not looking for too terribly much. We could probably, honestly, it's probably, let's see, we got we got another 30-minute candle like we did on the, like right here on this bullish 30-minute right here, we would hit TP. So we're looking fine from a time perspective. We really only need maybe one or two good 15-minute candles. But it is kind of just sitting there. I do want it to kind of pick up some steam in here. All right, so here's our new hourly candle. Now, so if this opens lower, we're okay. if we get a little pullback here, we could actually, only thing I really see that we could use is our 1 hour Dilling range, equilibrium. We would definitely want to stay above that. That 1 hour looks freaking ugly. We don't, I mean, our whole, really our whole trade setup is if that 4 hour starts flipping bearish, then we're more than likely wrong. The previous day high to get hit on ES, I need a bullish 4 hour candle. Right? That's a very simple thing to see and understand. All right, there's almost give us some manipulation there. See if we got like a 5 minute. Yeah, I guess we could maybe this low right here. That would get everybody out that got in where we are that are hugging their stops too close. And that could run this low and start to reverse and use that 4 hour as the opening price as support. What I would want to see, or maybe an SMT at this low, be interesting too. Just always remember, guys, like if you hold through an hourly candle, or especially a 4 hour candle, you got to make sure that, I mean, if you really like your trade, that's fine to hold through it. But you know, the wick in the opposite direction of your trade on those high time frame candles, they can put you in some drawdown for a minute. Look at what the market's looking like. SpaceX is bouncing a bit. Tesla's up. Looks like A&D is getting a, I mean, AI is getting a bit of a relief rally. Well, Google and Microsoft down still there. All right, so really now our 5 minute just went IFEG, which I don't love. But honestly, that is really just sponsoring that continuation. I just don't really see where this thing can turn around other than the sweep on liquidity. Because I would assume everyone that got in this trade where I did off this inverse here are running stops at this low. Maybe it taps, sweeps, and then turns over for us. I bet a lot of people are in that trade right there. 8 minutes left on the 15 minute. This 15 minutes buying its way back up. I like that so far. Very good 5 minute candle open there. Need these 15 minutes to start flipping back over for us. Very good 15-minute reaction there. Nice. Need ES to pick up here and go run this high. So now my eyes shift to this high on ES. We need this to get ran to uh to not make a new SMT. And anyone that is joining late, um, because all of my uh, Alpha Futures premium accounts are, they've closed them for everyone. I am uh, working this week to get my funding back, so I am doing evals right now. So the max I can make, I got a 50% consistency rule on it. So the max I can make is 1500. So I would look for previous day high on ES up here to be what we're drawing to. If I had my funded accounts from Alpha still and they didn't freaking close everybody's, I would I would hold this thing all the way up here to this previous day high. But because I've because they rugged everybody and I don't, looking at the structure right now and current price action, I may not be able to hold all the way to previous day high. Which is fine. But just to let everyone know, I probably will be having to exit a little bit earlier than that, but that's still my quote draw on liquidity that this trade is aiming towards. So we got about Got about 3 minutes, a little over 3 minutes left on this 15-minute candle. Honestly, at 15 so far, if it keeps holding bullish like this, looking really good. Nice manipulation wick on the bottom side of it. Remember, that's the 11 a.m. hourly candle open, right? So this long wick on this 15-minute candle is that hourly candle opening lower. So we're looking for a open, low, high close 1 hour candle. We're looking for an open, low, high close for the 4 hour candle as well. So looking at our 4 hour, we opened here. On NQ, we did not tap the 4 hour yet. So on NQ, we had a much deeper wick on the 4 hour, tapping the 4 hour FEG. And now we're getting that same signal on the 1 hour. So to me, this is giving me all the confirmation in the world that this is about to deliver the previous day high. This is gonna get ran. Outside of our president getting on his phone. So floating some good profit now. 1 minute 30 seconds left on the 15-minute. So we are playing out our number two of our scenarios. 10 a.m., 4 hour candle starts low, taps the H4 on NQ because it was untapped. Low time frame reversal. We got a 5 minute bullish fair value gap continuation on the low time frame that it tapped, and then we got a 1 minute IFEG off of that. And then the TP that I like is that ES previous day high. So all of that, these scenarios were mapped out starting at the very beginning of stream. All right, 4 seconds. Here comes our new 15-minute candle. We do have a slight 5 minute imbalance in here, but don't know if it would even want it. Still holding this SMT on the high time frame, which is at previous day high. So NQ swept previous day high last night in the overnight session. The ES did not. Really looking for some of these big names to start flipping over as this up leg starts to push. I want to see like Microsoft down 0.93. I want to see that start bouncing. Google. See what else. Yeah, really those two. Amazon maybe. I want to see the Mag 8 start to pick up. So we do actually have this as a 5 minute. much bigger on NQ. And then we have 5-minute billing range there. ES billing range. So again, we're starting that new 15-minute candle. So it's just a question of where the low wick of that candle is. Doesn't so far it's not doing too much damage. And then if that low hold, we would open that 15-minute fair value gap there. But remember what we looked at earlier, we may look to close in this imbalance where it opened wicks down into close where that imbalance would be and then start to turn over. ES is looking good. Just let it cook. You want to see this 15 start to turn over. We want both of them to obviously go break that most recent high on the 15. There's ES taking it. Come on, NQ. Don't want I think it take it. Yeah, it did. It took it by a tick. Looking a little detached from each other right now, which I don't really like. I'm really watching this level right here. And that would be that rebalance that we talked about. Maybe it's trying to close that inefficiency because if you look at ES, it doesn't have the 15 gap. Like it's already closed off. Oh, ES is really running now, guys. Nice run here. Now it's NQ looks like it's holding us up. ES is looking very nice. Just kind of cycling through the time frames, making sure I'm not missing anything. Oh man. I think it's wanting to come touch this 5 minute right here, guys. And now, like I said, close that 15-minute fair value gap, that inefficiency. And we do have that 5 minute on ES there. Great new 5 minute candle inbound. All right, let's see if we can get us a nice little run here. We can call it a day. Tell me that this isn't the best job in the world, man. Best job in the freaking world, bro. We got a uh big candle closure coming up here. New 15-minute and new 30-minute. We need to kind of monitor that. So we do have this 15-minute now open. But we don't have that on ES. Uh, okay. We got it. Honestly, we got a bunch of these little gaps in between these bullish candles. Really need this thing to make that low of that 15-minute and 30-minute candle and then start to push. So on the 30-minute, that's where the inefficiency would rebalance at. On the 15-minute, it's right here. So I would be looking at potential lows. The low of this candle would be in those areas. ES, I'm sorry, NQ, we have actually it already has that 15-minute there. So it would just be this 15-minute, and then the 30-minute would be this line that I drew earlier. Now, if it doesn't make it down to those lines, we will just have an FVG there. And that's not the end of the world. That's not bad for it. But I like to understand these higher time frame candles, 1 hour, 30-minute, even 15-minute. Where could the wick, if it's going to be a bullish candle, because I need a bullish candle for this trade, where would the low wick go to, and where would it potentially pivot and turn around on the low time frame, giving me that low wick? Um, I like to think about that because that helps me see if my trade is holding, it's if it's still valid. All right, here comes our 15 tap on NQ. Almost to that 30-minute line to close off the 30-minute inefficiency. See if that's enough there. Maybe that maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. That 15-minute tap over here. We closed off on ES. Look here. Let me delete this. So we would have had an inefficiency between this wick and wherever this wick is, right? So it came down and it's taken that inefficiency off the board. We do still have this 30-minute down here. So if this is the low, would have this 30-minute gap right here. But that may be all it needed. Need 5-minute candle. Put in that low wick and start to turn. There it is. Now pop, pop. Need some impulsivity here, guys. Need this thing to pick up. We don't want the volume to die because we are getting kind of close to lunch hour here. And we don't want the market might start showing us that it's not going to deliver a previous day high until PM session. Come on, guys. About to close that 30-minute on ES. I think we're just going to maybe get a higher low here. We're running, for me, I'm kind of running out of time. 11:40. I really don't want to have any risk on over lunch. I'm going to go break even off time. All right, stops to break even, guys. I can't hold risk going into lunch hour, but I do want to let this stay open because I do think that this is just another higher low. Personally, I mean, we're only 10 points on ES. We're one 15-minute candle away, but I can't let a green trade turn red. I need this thing to pick up. The volume is dying on me. Come on, you're almost there, man. All right. I need this thing to pop. I've been patient with this thing. Thanks for the follow, Charles. Charles, do you trade uh, just NQ or do you trade ES as well? Because I lean to NQ, but I trade on both ES as well. Cool, man. Cool, man. Oh man, that's an ugly 5 minute on freaking ES right there. All right, there's my 30 minute uh inefficiency getting closed off. It's got to bounce from here if it's going to bounce. We're in this 5 minute here and in that 15. This knock on wood, but this M5 on ES is very interesting. As I say that, it's flipping. Sure held pretty strong. Their new 15-minute candle inbound. Got a small wick on the bottom, but not anything crazy. So our risk here would be an open high low close bearish 15-minute candle, which would probably stop us at break even. See what we get here. I just There's just no volume. I'm really confident that previous day high gets hit, guys, on ES. Not financial advice, but I feel like I'm watching paint dry right now. I'll be right back, guys. There we go. I'm learning VP strategy. I'm not familiar. What is the VP strategy? What does VP stand for, Charles? Oh, I see. I see you have ES in your name. My bad, man. Charles ES Trading Inc. Volume profile. Oh, okay. Well, what's the volume profile showing us right here? It seems pretty dead. I mean, it's picking up now, but it's sure seemed dead for the last 15 minutes or so. Lunch hours got looking dry. Yeah. Yeah, that was my, you know, I run into this scenario a lot where not a lot, but a good amount of times where my trade is looking very good and I'm, floating a good bit of profit. And on the high time frame, the draw and liquidity I'm aiming for, in this case ES at previous day high, looks good to get hit, but the move takes a little longer than I would like. And then I get into this lunch, you know, the last, 15 minutes or so of New York AM and it starts to die. And then I have to kind of make the decision of, do I try to hold it through lunch hour or do I just take my profit? Yeah. I have a rule that for myself that um after 11:30, I won't take a trade after 11:30. Like I won't enter after 11:30. Um and by 11:45 max, if I'm in a trade and it's still floating, I have to at least be at break even because it sounds like you've experienced what I have, which is things are looking great and then lunch hour hits and you get some deep retracement manipulation, and then the 1 p.m. hourly candle or the 2 p.m. 4 hour candle ends up delivering on the trade idea that you had in New York AM, but you got wiped out during the lunch hour pullback. Really don't want a lower high here. 2 minutes, 30 seconds left on this 5 minute. I really want these highs to get ran. Yeah, but sometimes comes to where my TP gets edged and pulls all the way back. Yeah, yeah, that's painful for sure. I do feel like the market has the last few weeks, it's definitely left some high time frame, like previous day high or, you know, London high. It's left some of those draws on liquidity by a tick or two, a number of days in the last few weeks. So my my thinking is I try not to be super greedy and not take profit all the way until the extreme, like say a 4 hour swing high gets hit or something. Where in normal market conditions, I'll let that thing run for a while. But in this, you gotta kind of take your base hits. Yeah, isn't looking very decisions, guys. Let it run. You just he took some profits. Yeah. Yeah, let's see how this 15-minute closes. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like it's holding this level really well on ES. This 5 minute doesn't have a lower wick. This may be open, high, low, close. Literally feel like I'm watching paint dry. I feel like Asia moves more than this. Yeah, it's not looking like it's going to want to deliver. May may just cut and then look to play the same trade in New York in the PM. Every time I cut, bro, it's like as soon as I cut, like I've done it like 2 or 3 times on stream in the last couple of weeks where, I'm up some profit, decent profit, like good amount, but and I cut it and then like before I even end the stream, and the next 15-minute candle was like what I've been waiting for. Oh my goodness. That happens a lot to me. So, or sometimes I get stopped and the next candle hits my TP. Yeah, that's why I'm a big fan of using how the high time frame candles are forming. Um, let me think of how I want to word this. So, like this whole trade idea was based on the 4 hour. This isn't looking too good, guys. My whole trade idea was based on the 4 hour opening lower, manipulating lower off the start. I'm gonna kill this, guys. I'm just gonna take the 500. So this whole trade idea, Charles. Let me say this, and I gotta jump off. I'm gonna try that basically that same setup into New York PM. But so this is my 4 hour candle for New York AM, the 10 AM right here, right? So what did I want to see? If you look at my number two scenario, right? So I had this 4 hour that was unmitigated. So this was my point of interest down here. So I wanted to see, what did I want to see on uh, to start the 4 hour? I want to see it manipulate. I want to see it open and go lower. Why? Because to me, what you just described, where you get in, say you get in a long, right? And you're targeting something up there, and you have this happen where you get stopped and then it ends up delivering, right? How I come how I got over that in my trading was using the high time frame candles. And what I mean by that is if I if for example, if this is my target up here for a trade, I know that this 4 hour candle has to be a bullish candle at minimum. I would need something like that, right? Okay, so if I know what my 4 hour you can do the same thing with a 1 hour, but I like doing the 4 hour. Um, if I know that this is what I need my 4 hour candle to look like to hit my draw on liquidity, then where do I want to get long? I want to get long on the wick, right? So what in this price leg that it's currently in makes sense for this U-turn or this pivot to take place at, right? And obviously the 4 hour is a FEG that's untapped, is one of my, or probably my favorite to play off of. Now, why does that help me? I don't what I'm not saying is every time the 4 hour opens and goes into a fair value gap, take a long or take a trade. That's not what I mean. But what I'm saying is when I have, a clear target, look at this thing rip as soon as I exit. If I have a clear target that makes sense on the high time frame, and I know what my 4 hour candle has to look like for that to deliver, then I want to see the manipulation in the opposite direction. And I want to not only see, I want to see it manipulate into something of significance. I want it to hit a point of interest that I like. I want to see it sweep some liquidity out. Maybe it sweeps the last 4 hour candle low here, here, taps the 4 hour FEG. We have a SMT at an hourly swing low with ES. It's just adding to adding to my confidence in it. Because what this is ultimately showing me, to me, I look at liquidity like gas in a car. If this is gonna deliver the previous day high and I'm gonna get this candle, I want to see the market fueling up to take this trip, right? If this 4 hour would have opened and tapped into like a 5-minute fair value gap or some area that I did not hold much significance, then I probably wouldn't have even taken that trade. What this allows me to do, and this is the important part. What this allows me to do is better time the market. And what I mean by that is I won't by waiting for these high time frame candles to manipulate and then trying to, pinpoint where it's pivoting and understanding why, and then catching the low time frame reversal up to your target. What that's allowing you to do is better time the move. Because if this is our 4-hour candle, this is the 4-hour extension from high to low, right? If I'm going to catch that move, then I want to, I'm sorry, if I want to time that move, then I want to see it manipulate, and I want to get involved after I see that manipulation. Yeah, I know, right? That's exactly what I said was going to happen. As soon as I exit, it was going to rip. I actually the other day I told people in here, I was like, because it was basically the same situation, and I said, guys, just let y'all stay in the trade, and I'm gonna exit, and then it's gonna run. And and sure enough, it did. We can look and see what. That's a very bullish candle. We do have SMT here. About to get ran then. Oh, that's frustrating. And then also the great part of trading that way is your stop loss is never really in no man's land, right? Look at where my stop loss is or was on that trade. Hold on, let me extend it out so we can see it on the 4-hour. Look at where my stop loss was on that trade. It's at the 4-hour low, right? And what's good about that is, one, I consider that protected. I got the sweep, I got the high time frame fair value gap tab. That's great. But also you have this, which is where your candle opened, the opening price. If my trade is going to hit TP, then I don't want to see this thing flip bearish, right? After it's made this wick and then impulsively started moving up, I don't want to see it fall off that bearish. So really, as this thing starts trucking up, you can actually take your stop from here and then just kind of trail it underneath that 4-hour low. And that gives me a lot of opportunities to scale into trades and move my stop loss up without without putting it in a place that doesn't make sense. And most importantly, not adding risk. SMT at that high. And see, I think that, yeah, for real, Char, I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, man, that's taking everything from me not to just jump back in. My problem is stop loss. I don't really, because I look at that, dude. Can't make that up. Problem is the stop loss. Like, even if we got this little 5 minute to tap, SMT just went away. 1 minute until that 5 minute actually forms. Oh man, decisions. I really like this man. 7 Let's see if it gives us something off this 5 minute. I'm not really changing my bias at all. Now for stop here, I think maybe that's too far, but that would be to the 4 hour open. So basically don't flip back bearish. Try to go 1 to 1. That's another thing about me, man, is I'm not I'm not a huge well, let me word that better. I will 100% take high RR trades if that's how it is presented, if that makes sense. Like if the market gives me something that lets me put a stop where I like it and I feel it's really safe, then I will 1000% aim over 2 hours. But I am definitely not against 1 hour trades, especially trading prop firms, and especially in this market. I will You will not see me like say that it comes down into this 5 minute right here. I will not go to the 1 minute. Like I see, and some people are successful with it, but some people will come here and put a stop underneath a 1 minute swing low and try to aim for like a something like that. That's just not my. I just haven't had the same success with that. I like giving it a little breathing room. Took my risk way down. Take 3 minis on ES right there. All right, here's our 5 minute getting tapped. See what this looks like. We get us. If I don't get some kind of IFEG, I can't take it. But I don't hate it. I actually kind of like it on ES more. I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna flip my charts. Well, All right, there's our tap on NQ. I risk my profit there. So if I just put what I profited on my first trade, we get 3 back in it to win it. Potentially get, it's going to close it. All right, I'm going to go in with you. I'm going to be aggressive with cutting this though. So, uh, put my stop down there at the 9:30 open for now. Bullish bias on ES. Are you longing ES or NQ? Longing. Well, that looks like the move here. Goodness. Do have this SMT still. Or at least like try to hit 1 to 1. That'd be 1 to. Mm. See this get tapped. Immediate rebalance into that. And then start to pop out. I might scale. You see a good reaction here on ES. Why not? Oh dang. Yeah, NQ is just kind of stuttering. Like ES is getting the volume. Just how IFEG there. That thing to bounce back through it. Gotta go right now. I got my finger on the button here. Already green today. Come on, NQ. Come on. You can do it. Pop. All eyes on this high for NQ. There we go. All right, SMT's out. Got another 7 minutes on the 15. Yeah, I feel you, man. It's like they know when you enter, right? I'm taking my risk off there. Point away. Remember, Charles, we are in a daily bearish fair value gap on NQ. That's probably why NQ is kind of stuttering a bit. But after that previous day high gets hit on ES, you know, of course, I don't know that it's going to go down from there, but I'm just saying that that is totally a risk. Just keep that in mind. Uh, come on, come on, come on, come on. I would really like this thing to deliver before getting a new 15-minute and 30-minute. We definitely got some stuff it could go down and try to tap. So I think 1230 is going to be my max, Charles, because we would open this 15 gap, and then we also have a 30 down in here, right here. Multiple options if it wants to pull back before delivering. Obviously, I don't want it to, but I'm just saying for me, especially with the time it is, I would gonna cut by the 1230 mark. All right, new 5 minutes, opening lower. This may stop. Oh, I have to flip the whole 15-minute candle. Hmm. Need this 1 minute to hold here, or no, 2 minutes. Is yeah. It honestly may just leave it and deliver it in PM, man, which is fine. We may get a better RR trade at it anyway. I want this thing to flip. Now flip and go. ES is trying. It's NQ, man. NQ's holding us up. I definitely should have longed ES with you. All right, I'm done, man. Probably got for shorts once it delivers. Yeah, I think once this previous day high delivers, I do think shorts will be potential because if we look at the 4 hour on ES, and this was why this was actually my first scenario was short. All these lows down here, man, on the 4 hour, previous week low, uh, that's the 6 p.m. open relative equal to previous week low. Have 2 weeks ago previous low here. Not quite previous month low, but all right. I'm gonna jump off, guys. Hey, I appreciate everybody joining. Thanks everybody for uh the follows. You can catch me on all the social media platforms at Zach's Trades, the same handle. Um, if you would like, and I will potentially look to trade London tonight, uh, but definitely New York AM tomorrow. All right, guys. I appreciate it.